Hey everyone, it's Kellen from Racer X again with another race examination video from Loretta Lynn's won the first round of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. And we got a lot to talk about, but it all started off in practice with a muddy, mucky mess, and Nick Gaines got himself buried deep in the mud before the old finish line jump. They obviously moved the finish line jump to the center of the track, but you can see him trying to dig the bike out. He's wide open on the throttle. He asks the flagger for a little bit of help. The flagger does not come to offer any of the help. So then his bike gets even deeper, and finally somebody comes out and says, all right, we got to get this thing picked up. So he gets on the radio and he starts talking. And then he looks down at the bike and he goes, hey, man, did you know that your bike is actually stuck in the ground? And Nick goes, well, yeah, I knew that it was stuck in the ground, but I wasn't sure whether or not somebody else was going to come help me get it out of the ground. So that's why I got off the bike. So if you could help me get it out of the ground, that'd be fantastic. So the guy says, all right, well, I got my buddies coming over. They get the quad over with the winch. The winch gets down in there, grabs onto the rear tire, and hey, everybody always picks on quads, but look, a quad actually saved the day and got Mr. Nick Gaines his bike free out of the mud and the muck as it finally gets free and pulled off to the side. And when I was watching this, I couldn't actually believe that they pulled it off and then left it so close to the rut. I mean, I get that it probably won't slide back into the rut, but I mean, just a little bit of a slide and it might have fallen back in. Anyway, Nick finally gets back on his bike and gets it started and gets on his merry way, and he'd actually have a pretty good day, did Mr. Nick Gaines, so he was pretty happy about that. So Eli Tomac is sitting there watching this all unfold in front of him, just watching these guys trying to pick Nick Gaines' bike out, and he's like, you know what, I think I really want to do that myself as well. So then what he does is he just goes ahead and buries his bike in the same corner about 30 minutes later, and he's trying to get it unstuck. This time the front wheel is stuck in there, so he starts kicking some mud out of the way, and he's digging his foot in. He's trying to get in there. Then we got, I think, the same guy coming over to try to help him, so they're going to reach down and try to grab Eli's forks out, just ripping the bike all around. He would eventually get it unstuck and go on his way in practice. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by onX Off-Road. Nowhere to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 400,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the onX Off-Road app today. So back to the action in the first 250 moto. One of the highlights that I wanted to talk about here was Mitchell Harrison trying to hold on to the fifth place position ahead of Alex Martin, and he has this really close call and then actually stalls the bike. Unfortunate for him because he ended up falling way down the order trying to get that bike kick-started. But I just wanted to highlight how technical this save was, where he was off the left side of the bike and trying to meter his balance by kicking his right foot off while going sideways through the sand. He corralled it back together but slammed on the rear brake to get stopped for this corner, and that completely killed the engine once he finally banked off that little embankment on the outside, so Alex Martin able to go on by. And like I said, Harrison would fall way back, but that balance that it took to save that, as you see Harrison kicking the bike there, that balance that it took to save that became a talking point throughout most of the day with the technical ruts that were throughout the racetrack. And even Chase Sexton in the first 450 moto had this moment here where he just got a little off balance in one of the ruts again and fell off while he was running in third. Very similar situation, although this time he couldn't catch it, where he just kind of got a little bit off balance and kind of cross-rutted, and when he went to go rebalance himself, it just threw him to the left side of the bike and down he went. So unfortunate there for Chase Sexton. And talking about that first 450 moto, how about the Suzukis that are often referred to as one of the slower bikes on the grid these days, getting good starts. Those JGR Suzukis 1-2 off the start. Max Anstey on the Twisted T Hep Suzuki coming through in about 5th, but it was Frederick Noren grabbing the whole shot from his teammate Joey Savacci, and kind of cool to see the yellow machines up front for a little bit there. But unfortunately for them, they'd fall back quite quickly as Jason Anderson made quick work of them on the first lap, and this was actually a key to Anderson's dominant first moto victory, because he's able to get out front and establish an early lead before any of the other close hitters were able to establish themselves up in second or third to chase down Anderson. So Anderson made quick moves to get to the front, and that was pretty much done and dusted the moto win for him, because he took off with the win as mentioned and won the first moto of the season at Loretta's. Now in the second 250 moto, Dylan Ferrandis put on a bit of a clinic when it came to choosing lines and making passes, as he first went around the outside of Alex Martin to move up into 4th, heading into Storyland, and then he'd set sail on his teammate ahead of him, Justin Cooper, and he was really making this outside line in the sand work to his advantage as he stayed up on the pegs and really carried a lot of speed to get to that outside line. Made that pass on Cooper. He almost made a pass on McElrath, the same spot, but took a few corners longer, and again around the outside, just choosing lines that weren't really hitching him up as much in the corners, like you saw McElrath kind of had to double clutch through there. And then the TV broadcast didn't really get the pass for the lead, but again, just quickly moving around Hampshire, and it was a really, really strong day for Dylan Ferrandis because he didn't actually get the whole shot on either moto, but made quick passes to get to the lead and was in the lead of the race before the halfway point of both motos and would pretty easily sail on to take the 1-1 victory on the day, dominating his first ever time at Loretta Lynn's, and now he has a points lead in the 250 championship. On to the final 450 moto of the day, and it was heartbreak for Cianciarulo early, who had the race lead and crashed it away at the end of the second lap, and you can see him here trying to pick up his bike. Really weird spot to go down, but Jessica J. Winter on Instagram got some footage of it, so check this out as he comes over, kind of clipped his foot, I guess, and just Supermaned off the back end of the bike, threw the bike down, so he picked it back up and went to the mechanics area. So his mechanics are like, well, let's take a look at what's going on here as Cianciarulo gets off the bike. I thought this was kind of cool too. You can see Cianciarulo turn around and then kind of gesture towards the JGR guy that's standing right there, I think, right here. And I think the guy just probably asked him if he's okay. So that's kind of cool to see the camaraderie amongst the teams. And they're looking at the bike, looking at the bars, and they're kind of like, well, he must have bent the triple clamps a little bit, maybe bent the bars. So they're like, yo, we can't get this fixed right here. So Cianciarulo's like, oh, man, there goes my day, as he hops back on the bike, and they're like, should I go back out again? Should I stay? What's going on? And they're like, man, we should probably just take it back to the pits. And that's the end of Cianciarulo's second moto. And I wanted to key in on this Zach Osborne line that he was taking, where he was stepping on and stepping off in the same section that Cianciarulo fell. And Osborne actually keyed into it in the post-race press conference, so hear what he had to say here.
Yeah, I actually saw some guy. I watched a ton of motos last week from the amateur race, and just kind of did some research, and I saw some guys doing it last week. And then this morning I saw some guys doing it in the 250 practice, and I just didn't like that triple turning. And also when you triple, you get in that bump and then you go up the face, and it's just kind of a lot of energy. So I felt like I could go scrub and then jump on, jump off, or double, whatever you want to say. I just felt like it was a big energy saver for me. And
Osborne actually had two key lines that he was taking late in the race that were really helping him out, and this was the second one, quadding out of the 10 commandments, which is really technical. Eli Tomac didn't realize that he was doing that, and it might have been costing him some time.
You know, I missed that. I got told that too after the race. They're like, Zach was quadding, and I missed it. I was just doing triple, and then I would, you know, and that was it. So I'll have to save that for next weekend, I guess.
So in the end, Zach Osborne picks up his first career 450 class overall in the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, and with it takes the points lead with him to the second round of the championship, which will be Loretta Lynn's this Saturday. Join us for some more action as we drop the gates in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross.